pleasure to you, viewers of Equinoxe Television, 6 p.m. by 2 o'clock. Thank you so much for according us your time. We begin right away with our major stories. Blackout is still far from being over in Bunaberi in the Douala 4 municipality, even after the visit of the Minister for Water and Energy. The Bonasama power plant, which got burnt down in Bunaberi, it will take weeks to be repaired, according to the Minister for Water and Energy, who made a visit in Bunaberi today. And in this newscast, we will be taking you to the Southwest Regional Headquarters of Boya, where several persons have been rendered homeless after their houses were destroyed. Those people reportedly built their houses on waterways. Those are our major stories. Welcome back, viewers. Hundreds of local inhabitants in Bunaberi of the Douala 4 area, they still have to continue counting their losses because blackout is far from being over in that area as at now. Water and Energy Resources Minister Gaston Elundu Esomba was in Bunaberi today, especially or precisely at the Bonasama power plant, which got burnt, and insisted or informed the local population that the repair works there might take 2 weeks to be carried out. Let's now have more with Babila Jonathan.
The medium voltage remote room of the Bonasama power plant in the Douala 4 subdivision completely damaged. Over 10 neighborhoods harboring hundreds of households deprived of electric energy.
The damage is so serious, but we are trying to do our best in order to give electricity to all those households.
After making an evaluation of the damage caused by a fire incident earlier this week, Water and Energy Resources Minister Gaston Elundu Esomba says electric energy supply will be restored in the affected households progressively in less than 2 weeks.
We are going to supply about 50% of the household next Saturday, and it will take 1 week to complete it, the other 50% of the household.
Minister Gaston Elundu Esomba has instructed technicians of the electric energy transportation and distribution companies, Sonatrel and Eneo, to do everything possible for the promise to be fulfilled. The technicians told us they are working day and night to restore energy supply in the affected parts of the Douala 4 subdivision as soon as possible. Meantime, households and businesses, especially those depending on electric energy, are recording enormous loss in their daily income.
And now we take you to the Southwest region, precisely in Boya, where several houses, we told in the headlines, have been destroyed in Boya by the mayor for the Boya Municipal Council. The mayor says the population where the houses were destroyed had been warned not to build their houses on waterways. Lucy Liengo is here, tells us more.
It was a sad morning for the inhabitants of Federal's Quarter in Boya as they saw their houses being brought down. According to the mayor of Boya, David Mafani Namange, the demolition exercise is to ensure the safety of the population.
We have warned the people severally to stop constructing houses on drainage channels because it results to floods affecting everybody. Many have died because of this.
With the prevalence of cholera in Boya, the mayor adds that the construction of houses in marshy areas has caused health hazards.
Another issue is that the waterway from the mountain used by the population downslope is contaminated by sewage from safety tanks, as some people empty them during rainfall to be washed away by runoff. Some persons use the water to wash foodstuffs, thus vulnerable to waterborne diseases like cholera.
David Mafani Namange reminds the population of the importance of respecting the norms of construction.
Other people do not respect construction norms and town planification. They build carelessly, causing more danger. Others do not even have land titles.
The demolition exercise, according to the mayor, will continue to other quarters in the subsequent days.
And now over to the central region of the country, where the local population of Ebebda are complaining that they have no access to potable water in that locality, and the absence of potable water is causing them to face certain diseases like cholera and also dysentery. Our reporter Glory Mala tells us that the problem has brought together some municipal councillors of Ebebda. Let's now have her report.
The plea of the population of River Sanaga, a locality in the Lake division of the Central region, is for the authorities to construct water points in the area. This is due to the lack of potable water in the locality and other villages in the division. There is lack of potable water here in Ebebda and Sanaga, a real problem of drinkable water in Ebebda, and the Community Council of Ebebda have limited finance to carry out this project. The situation brought together municipal councillors in a meeting to develop measures for the realization of water projects and other pending projects in the community, during which the mayor complained of limited finance. When we take, for example, the financial budget of 2019, it's 50 million, that is 36 million of communal contribution and additional 15 million from different sources. And when you look at the Lake division, the budget has to be distributed in all the 9 villages. It's not possible, taking into consideration salaries to be paid, which is already 21 million, and the 2 council session takes 8 million. The population now rely on private wells for drinking and rivers for their chores, a situation which exposes them to several waterborne diseases. However, they look forward for public authorities to intervene in order to better their living condition.
And some road users in the country say it is now very scary to make use of the National Road Number 5, that is, the road linking Bafang to Bafsam in the west region of the country. This is because of large potholes along that highway, which can cause road accidents. Let's now have a picture of the National Road Number 5 linking Bafang to Bafsam with our reporter Innocent Aze.
Apart from reckless driving, these neglected craters on the National Road Number 5 linking Bafang and Bafosam in the west region contribute in the snatching of lives. My brother, when I look at the mini lakes, I am scared. I don't know if there are crocodiles inside or not. They look really scary and deadly. Before, drivers used at least an hour to travel from Bafang to Bafusam and vice versa. But that is not the case today. I used to cover this distance in 55 minutes. Today, I use over 2 hours. Even at the level of the toll gate, the roads are deplorable. I doubt if we are part of Cameroon. What are they doing with the money collected at the toll gate? I am from Bafang and I am just from paying 1,000 francs. Where is the money paid by drivers going to? Some people get stranded on this stretch of roads at late hours, usually because of a breakdown suffered by their vehicles. Thus, victims of highway robbery. Our driver entered into a pothole, leaving us with 2 punctured tires. He was very careful, otherwise we would have fallen in a ravine. We are waiting for the repaired tires. This National Road Number 5 began degrading rapidly since 2018, with the road splitting in 2019, with the Minister of Public Works on the scene announcing envisaged plans to redo the road. Since then, nothing has changed, as today the National Road Number 5 is a nightmare.
And now we move further to the far north region of the country, where administrative officials and security officials as well in Toburu have reassured the local population of their security. This was during a meeting that brought together some natives of Tuburu, the divisional officer, and also the commander of the 31st Motorized Infantry Brigade. A staff man, Smart can give a complete story for us.
Some weeks back, the divisional officer of Tuburu was held hostage by some natives of villages around his zone of jurisdiction. The cry was they are tired of being harassed by Boko Haram rebels. It was on this ground that the military, led by Colonel Njoka Dominique of the 31st Motorized Infantry Brigade, traveled on a rugged road with an objective to meet with the people who are in fear. During their visit to Tuburu, the military officials held meetings with this aggrieved population who blamed their suffering on the lack of collaboration between them and some chiefs appointed to control them. They take a chief who is not loved by the people, but because he has money, he is put in power. It is evident that such a chief won't work with the population. More to that, some of them have sold their foodstuffs to come here and rule us. We have to respect our chiefs and give them the best attention. Another native of Tuburu says they are counting on the military for help. We are threatened in our farms by these rebels. Actually, it's you who have competence to help us now, because all we can do is to cry. According to Colonel Njoka Dominic, the success recorded by these rebels is due to the poor terrain.
The alert system here is too slow. You have a forest at the Chadian border. So in case of any kidnapping here, the time to alert the soldiers, it takes a lot of time because you need a bike to go where there's network and you call the soldiers. Even though we have some soldiers about 2 or 3 kilometers away on both sides of this crossroad, and there are times where they kidnap people and there's nobody to come and inform the soldier. We only learn it from telephone calls when the hooploons are already calling the families to come and give treasure.
But adds that they have been doing their best to safeguard the interest of these people.
For the past 3 months around this area, since this is a buffer zone, the soldiers have putting a lot of accent on this zone and there have been no kidnapping. Unfortunately, where there are kidnappers, is some villagers, they are afraid. I don't know why they are afraid, but at times they prefer to go and pay ransoms without even informing the forces of law and order.
At the end of the meeting, which took place in the presence of the divisional officer of Tuburu, Nujingumen Elias, the population of
And now we take you out of our national frontiers, first in Central African Republic, where heavy-duty truck drivers stranded in that country are urging their employers to pay their allowances, and there are also Cameroonians among them, about 50, and also in Ethiopia, where the government and Tigray rebels have agreed to end hostilities in that country. Let's now have our foreign page roundup with Immaculate Fogui.
Over 50 heavy-duty truck drivers from Cameroon stranded in Central African Republic. The drivers, working with Agora, a transport and logistics company, say they have been abandoned for over a month without allowances to sustain them during their journey. The drivers say they still have to cover a distance of 700 kilometers to get to their destination. The furious drivers have promised completing the journey only after receiving their allowances. Burkina Faso's new military leader, Captain Ibrahim Traoré, visits his Malian counterpart Assimi Goïta. Both transitional presidents that got into power following a military coup discussed on how to better counter terrorism, referring to jihadist threats. Both countries have suffered fatalities with more than 2 million people who have fled their homes. The United States plans excluding Burkina Faso and Mali from the African Trade Agreement. President Joe Biden cites the lack of progress towards protecting the rule of law and political pluralism. The announcement comes after both nations were plagued by military coups. Ethiopian government and Tigray rebels agreed to cessation of hostilities. The Ethiopian government in Ethiopia's northern Tigray region have been at war since 2020. The African Union representative, former Nigerian President Olusegun Obasanjo, said this is the result of the AU-sponsored peace talks between the two sides.
And now this note, which just got into our studio a while ago, Glencore has been ordered to pay almost 208 billion francs CFA as penalty in Africa over African bribes for oil. The penalty includes fine of almost 70 billion of francs CFA and a confiscation order. London judge says the bribery was part of Glencore's culture. So we'll be coming back to that in our subsequent editions of the news. And viewers, that does it for the first part of the news. Don't go away. Talking Points comes up next. Welcome back, viewers. Today we continue talking about the impunity of crimes committed against journalists. And yesterday we had a journalist on the platform to tell us about the challenges they face in the course of their duties, ranging from intimidation to arbitrary arrest and detention. Today we will be receiving a legal mind on the platform. That is going to be Barrister Kamwa Liman is going to tell us what the law says about arrest and detention of Cameroonians, journalists inclusive. Barrister, thank you so much for accepting our invitation. And you might want to find out from you our very first question. Why is it that arbitrary arrest and somehow intimidation of journalists is very frequent in our Cameroonian context, and how should a summons be normally carried out according to the law?
You are very welcome, and it's always a pleasure talking to you people. When they say an arrest is arbitrary, it means therefore that it's illegal, and illegal arrest is an offense which is condemned in the Cameroon Penal Code, meaning therefore that anybody who comes to arrest you must do it legally. What do we mean by do it legally? It means that the person coming to arrest comes with a warrant of arrest, which has been duly signed by the State Council, and you are being invited or arrested to respond to an act that you've purportedly committed. The very first thing is that there must be a criminal action against the person. And you commence that criminal action maybe by way of a complaint, that a complaint is lodged against you, and they issue you summons to appear, they invite you to appear for your cautionary statement, and you fail to do so 3 times. The law provides that after the 3rd time, the file is transferred to the legal department, to the State Council, who will issue a warrant for your arrest, for you to respond to the allegations brought against you. It could equally come from the president of the court, who, after maybe condemnation, after you've been sentenced, they issue a warrant for you to be arrested and taken to prison. So in both cases, you must have a warrant. Whoever is coming to do the arrest must have a warrant of arrest.
And now, barristers, that procedure you just stated above, why is it that they are not respected or implemented in Cameroon? Is it out of negligence or ignorance?
You know, we always say that we have very good laws in Cameroon. If you look at the Constitution, the preamble of the 1996 Constitution, you see that the right to liberty is so guaranteed. And Cameroon has signed and ratified international treaties like the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, which actually protect the right to liberty. And you know, with the 1948 Universal Declaration of Rights, all those international instruments, they actually oblige states, and under the triple pronged theory, they oblige states to fulfill, respect, and enforce human rights. Not to the least to say is right to liberty. You know, I think there was ignorance at one point, because ignorance from the person who is to be arrested. I want to make it very clear that once you are summoned to respond to a charge against you, please go. Because that is an opportunity for you to defend and state your own case. So ignorance will have it that many people don't want to attend some of those convocation or those summons, and they find themselves in a situation that they have to be obliged through a warrant to appear. Now, at the level of the person coming to execute, you know, there are many occasions where they come to execute without a warrant, and that is illegal. And it is just a violation of the law. We see more and more that Semil, these people working with military security, they have this habit of coming out and arrest people over matters which is not within their competence. Then you have some state councils who frivolously can issue warrants, which we have to condemn equally. So there is a mixture of everything. There's ignorance, there's abuse of the law, there are gaps in the law, and you see, another important aspect is the inaccessibility of some officers like the State Council or the Procurator General. You see that the Procurator General is empowered to control and supervise the criminal activities in a region. But you see, to assess those people are very, very difficult. So somebody who is being violated cannot easily assess to denounce. You see, so there is all those things that come up to make it to contribute in illegal arrest in Cameroon.
And now, Barrister, what step, this is for our viewers out there, what steps should an individual take first when he or she receives a summon or an arrest warrant?
If you receive a convocation or a summons, if you have the means, which is even advisable, brief a lawyer, brief a counsel who accompany you, and his role there is to see to it that your rights are not violated, because the law is very clear. Any violation in the criminal procedure leads to nullity of that procedure. So when you receive such a summons, if you cannot go with a lawyer, make sure you attend to that summons, and when you go, state the facts the way they are. And if there is an abuse, that is where the problem comes in, because at times you go and you give your cautionary statement, and then they choose to lock you up, and there's nobody to inform any authority, nobody to fight. So I think that the very first thing to do is make sure you have a lawyer, go with a lawyer. And then I think that's all. When you go there and give your statement, there will be no need for an arrest. But now there is something which is terrible, and that is most of the police officers, judicial police officers, they come with this kind of a summon, we call it general convocation, where they say you are asked to report immediately, dès réception. That's always what they write on it, dès réception. It means therefore that the man who has come to give you the convocation has to go with you, and that is tantamount to an arrest. You see, so no, I'm advising that police authorities, gendarme authorities should actually avoid issuing out what they call convocation dès réception. It is not correct, because that is a warrant you are issuing, and they don't have the capacity to issue warrants. And so when they send, the Cameroonian is helpless. They say, okay, 2 gendarmes, 2 military people are in front of you. They say, okay, they're taking you to the police. You have to go. And then when you go there, from the beginning, you discover that they have taken a side. Because to send a summons to somebody and say immediately you receive, it means therefore that there is something not right. And so when you go there, you'll be locked up.
Thank you so much for that explanation there, Barrister. But we know that some Cameroonians sometimes are being tortured upon reception of a warrant of arrest if they refuse or resist going along with the security forces. Is that correct?
Nobody should be tortured when you are serving a summon. The right thing even to do is that you give the complainant, whoever is to serve the summon, goes by way of bailiff. The bailiff comes to you and say you have this, and then he signs. Even if you take it, you don't take it, they know that they informed you. That's the most important thing. Why would they violate? Why would they aggress anybody that you've come to give an invitation? Because in reality, someone is an invitation to come and be heard. So why do you brutalize somebody at the level of invitation? It is wrong. It's an abuse of authority.
But it is very frequent in our society.
Yeah, especially when they come to this convocation de réception. That is where it mostly happens. If they come to give a convocation, maybe to come in 2 or 3 days, I don't see any reason why there should be that confrontation.
And now, Barrister, we have noticed that most often, like you try to explain above, when people are being given an arrest warrant, most times they hardly get to lawyers. What's your take on that?
Yes. It should not be our culture. it should be something automatic that if you have a medical doctor when you are sick, you should have a lawyer in your life who can protect your rights. So, it is, to me, it is the first thing to do. It is the first thing to do. Have a lawyer. When there are things like that, you call a lawyer. Because if nobody will come to defend you more than what a lawyer will do. They say the lawyer is the best friend to every citizen because is a lawyer who protects the rights of citizens. So if the police or the gendarmes are abusing your right, I don't see any other civilian who will come and stop to tell them that what you're doing is wrong, stop doing this. They too will be brutalized. Now you see, each time I have the opportunity to condemn those acts, I do them. There was a time I went to Semil, and while I was there, they brought somebody and they started beating the person, and to me it was an insult to my person. That I cannot be a lawyer in an office, and you know that my role that the government has given me, the state has given me, is to protect interests, to protect rights, and in front of me you are beating somebody. I stopped that. There was once I went again to another gendarme station, they were beating somebody with a cutlass on the legs, and I almost turned the place down. And luckily enough, I have a big size, so so I shouted and I told them it is wrong. 2 weeks ago, I was driving and I saw some police vehicles, a police car. They were moving and they stopped each place they sell this foil, perforated foil. They stopped there to collect money, and I stopped and asked them, "What do you think you are doing?" And they turned and said, "I said, do you think that any other Cameroonian, average Cameroonian, have the courage to tell you that?" They turned and said, "Ahmed, it's you, this and that." So we should have the courage. We should have that. We should have that need to have lawyers to protect us.
And Barrister, it's no news that several journalists in Cameroon are behind bars, and most times their rights to freedom of speech is being violated. That is also problematic, I think.
Some journalists equally need to know that you don't talk anything. You see, because if you give out a wrong report, that tarnishes somebody's image. You fall within you are guilty of defamation. You see, and that being a journalist does not protect you. Once you give those utterances which are wrong, the state will hit you. The person makes a complaint and you'll be dealt with. If you go and you are saying things against the government that you cannot prove, the state will come against you. So I think that journalists who keep to their deontology, who keep to their ethics, and try to avoid as much as possible excesses, might not land themselves in problem. You see, but journalists who are a bit interested in politics, will, which is not a bad thing. They will run into problem because the state will not want them to talk. Like every other citizen. You understand, there are international instruments and the Cameroon Constitution, which I just told you, that gives us the right to talk. But talk to what extent is a problem. And I saw a video, somebody said that there's freedom of speech, but there is no what? Guarantee of freedom after speech, you see now. So there are those things, and it is good to know exactly what you're reporting and just be honest with it. You know, many people keep telling me that I say a lot of things on television and then nobody cares to arrest me, and that they are afraid that they might arrest me. I said they cannot arrest me because I don't lie. I say what is true. If you arrest me for saying the truth, then let's go ahead. So I make it a habit that I don't say lies, I don't defame. I say just what I think it's the truth.
Barrister, following your explanation above, don't you think you're trying to say journalists should do selective reporting, because a journalist is supposed to report the truth, facts, the way they are?
Yes, you know, saying the truth in the Cameroon context, especially with what is happening in the Ambazonian zone, in the northwest and southwest region. Let me know Ambazonian zone, northwest and southwest region. You stand a risk of being prosecuted for inciting, that you are inciting the population, or giving credit to the acts of the terrorists. But it's unfortunate because the journalist is there to say just the facts as seen on the field. But as I said, the journalist should make sure that what they are saying, they have their proofs, and they should not get involved into politics, cheap politics. They have the right to belong to a particular political party. Nothing stops them belonging to a political party, but do your job professionally.
Flawless.
Well, I think the government feels that the journalists should not say everything they see. That is the first thing. Journalists should not say everything they see, and at times the journalists they say more than what they see. So, but I want to stress that the freedom of speech is guaranteed to everybody, and you must exercise that freedom, putting in mind that you should not step out of your bounds, else you run into problems.
Barrister, I can't let you go without asking you to cite for us some of those laws and international conventions that protect journalists, especially in Cameroon.
Yes, we have at international level, we have the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, though not a law, it's kind of regulate the activities of every government, and you see that is why in most of the constitution they mention that instrument. We have International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights, which guarantees the right to freedom of speech. You have the African Charter on People's Rights, which equally guarantees as a regional instrument, which guarantees freedom of speech. And then you have the Constitution of Cameroon, which is a grand norm, which is the highest law of the land, which guarantees that. So it is a seriously protected right.
Thank you so much, Barrister Kamwa Limen, for accepting to be our guest on Talking Points tonight. And viewers, that does it for this edition of the news. Thank you so much for being with us.